But like I said, Shane, we don't know if he's going to get charged or not, but I still think it still falls back on Baldwin in the first place because those photos should have not been laying out on the conference room table. Period. And you're not going to tell me every person in that law firm was working the case and had access to all that. I don't believe that at all. I believe that there's only maybe two, maybe three people total in that law firm that might have had access to that stuff. But to leave it all laying out for anybody and their mother to see it, that's where the mess up is.
Andrew J. Baldwin, founding partner, board certified criminal trial specialist. In Indiana, attorneys can become board certified in a specific area of law through the Indiana State Bar Association. Board certification indicates that an attorney has demonstrated a high level of expertise and experience in their practice area, and clients can be confident that they are receiving quality legal representation from a qualified professional. Board certification matters. Check here to see if any other lawyer you are talking with are certified.
When I came up with the concept for the criminal defense team, I knew that our firm would initially be mocked by the traditional legal community. No law firm had ever so boldly proclaimed their desired identity. There wasn't a family law team or a contract law team. In fact, law firms were always identified by the name of partners in the firm, such as Smith, Jones, and Smith, or Farley, Drury, and Seinfeld, etc. Who would want to hire a lawyer from a firm that called itself the criminal defense team? What did that even mean? The idea hit me when I was in bed worrying about a particular case and wishing that I had more people in the firm to bounce ideas off of. More people that I could trust. People that had passion. People that were good human beings. People who were empathetic with fellow human beings accused of crimes. People who were not judgmental. A team of these types of people could really make a difference in the lives of our clients and maybe even change the landscape of what a superior criminal defense looked like. The problem was that most law firms that handled criminal defense cases were actually not really law firms. If you hired one of the lawyers, let's say Bill Farley from the fictional law firm Farley, Drury, and Seinfeld, you would expect that both Drury and Seinfeld would be equally as excited about fighting for you. However, what I had learned is that these types of law firms were actually three guys working under the same roof, splitting overhead, and not caring about each other's cases. I didn't want that. I wanted all of our employees to receive a salary. That way, we would all be invested in each other's cases. The success of the law firm would depend on the results our clients were receiving, and therefore we were all incentivized to help each other out. However, in setting up the business this way, I would have to sacrifice financially in a dramatic way that would affect my family. I didn't care. My wife was on board. We both knew that this wasn't about money. It was about obtaining the best results for our clients. Again, fellow human beings that deserve the best fight we could give them. That could only be done, in my opinion, by hiring a team and paying everyone a salary. Back then, there were really very few lawyers that I would consider passionate about fighting for their criminally accused clients. Most seemed to be mailing it in. However, in criminal defense, you can't mail it in. People's lives, reputations, and freedoms are at stake. I needed to surround myself with people that would inspire me and each other, who would push each other to obtain the best results for our clients. I love the brainstorming component of preparing a defense. The thought of getting a group of hand-picked, talented attorneys together in the same room, throwing ideas on a whiteboard and collectively brainstorming how to pick apart the prosecution's case, well, for me, that was about as exciting as it could get. Back then, my reputation as a criminal defense attorney had grown, but I didn't want any client to come to the firm solely because of me. I wanted them to come to the firm because of the team. I wanted every client confident that their best outcome would result from the efforts of our entire team, not just one single lawyer. When I presented the idea to the 5 people that worked for me back then, 2 lawyers and 3 staff members, I told them to be prepared for the mocking. However, I told them if you can stick with it long enough, we can make great things happen for our clients and for each other. We became a law firm that is respected, or perhaps even feared by prosecutors. Just as I predicted, soon after we started marketing ourselves as the criminal defense team, prosecutors and others started joking about the firm.
Who's coming from the team to cover this hearing?
Prosecutors would comment while grinning or rolling their eyes. We would simply smile and go about our business. Behind the scenes, we were doing exactly what I had envisioned, brainstorming and debating and establishing the best game plan for our clients. Sometimes the attorneys got into knockdown drag arguments over what they think the best plan. Often in the middle of the fray, I will comment,
"Isn't this great? We're coming up with a superior strategy. I love it."
Thankfully, because iron sharpens iron, the best plan usually evolves from those discussions. Every day our lawyers are walking into each other's offices wanting to pick each other's brains. Sometimes we will call an all-attorney session to discuss. Sometimes we just grab 2 or 3 lawyers. These are often the moments when cases are won. A spark of an idea may alter the entire trajectory of a case. People accused of crimes who simply have 1 lawyer, maybe even 2, working on their case, are just missing out on the synergistic brain power of our team concept. Honing our trial skills and implementing new ideas and strategies is also part of the CDT way. Our partners not only mentor our young lawyers, but have been called by state agencies to teach young lawyers across the state of Indiana on how to properly prepare a case for trial and then to actually try that case. Our lawyers are also presenters to continuing legal education seminars on the topic of criminal law. Having 5 of the 6 board-certified criminal law specialists in the state of Indiana causes our lawyers to be in demand. It didn't take long before the team was no longer a joke. We were quickly recognized as a team of serious trial lawyers that fight hard for our clients. We now employ many former prosecutors in the firm. These former prosecutors tell me that when they were still prosecutors, they hated seeing our name on a file as the attorneys for the accused. They hated it because they knew they were in for a fight by the very skilled and passionate lawyers. Hearing that just makes me smile from ear to ear. Now, all these years later, I have fought for thousands and thousands of fellow human beings accused of crimes, and our track record is sensational. We are often asked,
How in the world did you win that case?
or
How did you obtain that unbelievable result?
the answer is simple. It's because we work as a team. Not just any team, but the team. The criminal defense team.
The Keith J. case.
"I'm not leaving your office until you type out a dismissal and get my client out of jail. Not 2 days from now, not tomorrow, now."
These were the words I shouted to the very experienced chief deputy prosecutor who had finally agreed to dismiss all of my client's charges, but wouldn't get around to preparing the paperwork for a few days. I didn't think about whether it was a good idea to shout at a prosecutor or not. I was more interested in watching my innocent client walk out of the jail where he had been sitting for the prior 9 months. Keith J. was accused of molesting his 6 and 7-year-old stepchildren. He was innocent, but nobody believed him. He didn't have a whole lot of money, but the good news for him was that back in those days, I didn't have a whole lot of clients. I drove to the jail to meet Keith. He was 24 years old. His eyes swelled with tears as he told me the story of how he ended up in jail. He was facing 100 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. I immediately began my own investigation by interviewing neighbors and family members, watched the interview tapes of the children over and over and over again, conducted depositions. I began to piece the case together. It was my belief that these children had been molested, but not by my client. They were protecting the actual molester, who was a family member. My client took a polygraph with the state police, but they said that he had failed it. I didn't believe the results. We would have to win at trial. The problem was that I had never tried a case to a jury on my own. At times I thought about trying to talk my client into a plea agreement, but I just couldn't do it. He was innocent and he needed to see that the system could work. 2 weeks before the trial, I got married and went on my honeymoon. I took the file with me to continue my preparation. My wife, Michelle, learned early in the marriage that my passion for defending all of my clients comes with a heavy price. After I returned from my honeymoon, the prosecutor called me to meet at her office. She told me that although she felt my client was guilty, the evidence might be too weak to take to trial. she would be dismissing the charges. 30 minutes later, my client walked out of the jail a free man. We hugged. He cried. Then he moved to Kansas City to begin his new life. In many ways, it was Keith J's case that laid the groundwork for my career as a criminal defense attorney. It was through his case that I began to understand the need for courage when representing the accused. The easy road is to take a quick plea agreement. The courageous road is to work the case and take it to trial. Without courage, a criminal defense attorney becomes ineffective, lazy, and satisfied with the status quo.
So that kind of explains Baldwin. And also, there's a murder sheet episode that they talk about Baldwin. I think they actually talk to like people that worked with him and stuff like that about him. And he's been described as basically like a messy genius type of a person who is very passionate and cares very deeply about his friends, his work, basically everything that he does, he's very passionate about. But with that comes a little bit of disarray, like following him. So maybe he'll have like barbecue sauce on his shirt or something like that. And the people around him like appreciate his thought process and how he works, and they don't mind kind of like going around and helping kind of like keep him together, is how I believe they describe it on the murder sheet. But I haven't watched that episode in a very long time, or listened to it in a very long time, and so I can't quite remember exactly what they said, but this is the gist of it. Like, sometimes when you excel in one area, maybe you don't excel in every area. And to me, this explains a lot how this leak could have happened. Because this guy that was close to Baldwin used to work at his office, so had been in that collaborative environment. Like, Andrew was used to bouncing ideas off of him and had built that trust with him. And that's what it makes it even more effed up that his friend would like go and take pictures and like leak them. That didn't benefit the defense in any way. Like, so anyone who thinks that like they would want those pictures leaked, they wouldn't. They described it fine in the affidavit. And like the only thing that having those pictures out does is all bad on the defense. And it appears that the day that they were leaked, it was very beneficial for the prosecution. So I'm not saying anything about that. Like, the defense definitely has already admitted that that leak came from their office and found who it came from. And so it's not really like a question of who leaked it, but my question is, if he had that for so long, why did the leak happen when it did, and why did it become public when it did? Those are the questions for me on that. But this is just my answer to Frank Meister, who said that he doesn't believe everybody in that office is working the case, which, if you see their whole way that they approach cases, is in a holistic way, and they appreciate everybody in their office, whether it's a paralegal, secretary, lawyer, what are those other people called? Paralegal. Did I already say paralegal? Anyways, but it doesn't matter who you are. If you work with them, you're a part of the team. And Baldwin cares about his team, and he trusts everybody in his office, if this guy left on good terms, and then Baldwin probably still felt like he was family. And so I can see how that would happen. And that's not necessarily, in my opinion, like such a sin that this dude trusted somebody that he used to work with in that kind of collaborative environment. It's really sad that guy would take advantage of that and like ruin a case, because Baldwin clearly cares about his clients as well. And everyone who's described him in court is that he kind of has his arm protectively like behind Richard Allen, and so he does care, and he didn't want to ruin this case. So they could have sanctioned him, they could have done whatever, and it is Judge Gull's duty, if she feels like he is grossly negligent. She's not doing anybody favors by keeping that in chambers and having them withdraw. She needs to go about this in the correct way to protect other clients of theirs in the future. So if as a judge you believe that they're being grossly negligent, that needs to be on record, like, and it needs to be taken to the proper disciplinary channels. Otherwise, I don't believe that you think that, because if that's how you really felt, you wouldn't want that to be remain in the chambers. You would want that out in public. You would go through the formal process. You are a judge. That's what you're there for, is to do things by the book. So, anyways, that was a long-winded explanation, but I just think it is a good insight into, like, Andrew Baldwin himself. Okay. Thanks. Have a great one, and see you next time. Bye.